overview of the Dibels measures, and we're going to look at benchmark cut scores and initial grouping. We'll get into report, but today is truly an overview, and then you'll get more detailed training to follow. So before we get started, I have an activity that I want us to do that hopefully you'll be able to bring back to your classroom either later this afternoon or tomorrow or whenever you deem it necessary or a good time for it. And I'm also using it as one of the strategies to move forward with this presentation. So can I have everyone stand up? And we need to make a circle so we can come right here.
I'm coming.
You're fine. Mr. Sessions, I need another person to do that. This activity is called Meet Me in the Middle. And as we are doing this, I would like you to think about how you can incorporate this into your classroom as well. So what will happen is I will say meet me in the middle and something that pertains to me, and then I will go into the middle. If it also pertains to you, then you join me in the middle. Okay? So I'll start off with meet me in the middle if you have had a great day today. Oh, I love it. And this is a safe environment, so if you're not having a great day, that's okay as well. Meet me in the middle if you are ready to go home. Great day. I got it. Okay, someone else lead.
Meet me in the middle if you are, meet me in the middle if you are a parent.
There you go.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, before you go any further, just know that'll happen. I would challenge you to say something random, and you'll see the whole class is going to go on the middle. That's a check for understanding. Are you paying attention to the direction?
Right.
Meet me in the middle if you're 50 or older. I looked at all of us and I can't say
She wants to
40.
be by herself.
I said I can't say 40, but I will say 50.
I'm not receiving that either.
No, I'm not
Me
though.
either.
No, I don't.
Me either.
I'm not though.
Meet me in the middle if your first name has an even number of letters. Go ahead and count it out. Now you see, there was a few skills that I had to think about. What does even mean?
What's my name?
Okay.
That's what I would.
Now I'm going to get this right this time because I tried a math one earlier and I don't claim to be the math expert. So I'll say, meet me in the middle if you know the square root of 16. And now I do. Okay, what is this for?
Okay, I just want
Now, you have to check
just
it
gotta-
because sometimes they'll just come in the middle anyway. Does anyone else have a meet me in the middle?
I do. Meet me in the middle if you're going out of town for fall break.
I'm not sure yet.
I put one leg.
I'll meet you where you don't.
Where we going?
It hasn't been determined. I know it's somewhere.
Meet me in the middle if you're familiar with Dibels or Dibels next. If you're familiar with Dibels or Dibels next.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I am, but not Dibbles next. I've done
For
Dibbles
Dibels
before.
or Dibels next, so you're there. Okay, meet me in the middle if you've ever administered Dibels or Dibels next. Okay, so what I was doing right there, now this is the end of the activity, we'll close it out. I did a few things. One of the things that I did was I wanted to get to know you and lighten it up a little bit. This is my first time really experiencing you guys and working with you, so it was an icebreaker. But I also wanted to show you an activity that you can use in your classroom, but then I wanted to do a pre-assessment. I could have just asked, who knows Dibels, next? But this was a lot more engaging for you guys to do that. And then also a lot of grade levels have ran here, they needed a second, they just needed to disconnect, so it was a good way to engage you. How could you use this in your classroom?
You can use it for, what's the first thing you have to say? Meet me in the middle if you know 2 times 1. Or meet me in the middle if you know short vowel sound, short ACE word.
So you would use it as an assessment.
Right.
A
Or
pre
not
or
really
post?
an assessment, but more of a, probably a hook or something to get them
Okay.
into the activity.
Or you can do the pre-test, because that was kind of
Right.
my way of pre-assessing. Or it could be a review.
Yeah.
Another thing it could be used for is just pure
Right.
engagement.
Right.
If you have your
For
class
activity
just looking
period.
into, just like, please just stop, and
Right.
you need a minute to get them engaged, then
Right.
you can, that's a good thing, just, all right, let's take a 2-minute break, let's do
Right.
meet me in the middle. It gets them up, moving, kinesthetic, and,
Okay.
absolutely, so you can go ahead and have a
In a
seat.
minute if you got on blue tip shoes.
And we will go ahead and get started with the actual training part of it. So, you are not extremely familiar with Dibels and Dibels Next. Right now, we don't need the laptops, right? So you can just kind of close them just a little bit, and when it's time, we'll pull it up. Dibels stands for the Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy. The Next is just the next version. It came out in the late 80s, early 90s, so there were some enhancements to the system. If you were familiar with Dibels, you knew that it was ISF, which was initial sound fluency. Now we have a first sound fluency. They've added days to the 3rd grade portion of Dibels, so that's something that we'll experience later. It's basically a research-based measurement and assessment tool, and we are going to use it in a variety of different ways. As you see, but the one that I really want to focus on is the progress monitoring piece. Our school-wide assessment team has already assessed all K to 3rd grade students. They will be the benchmark team that will assess the students beginning, middle, and end of the year. However, as part of the RTI process and just best practices, when you see that a student is low in a certain area, you progress monitor and you do interventions. So you guys will be trained on how to administer it because you will be expected to progress monitor, and we'll talk about the RTI process in a moment. So you know in education we like to use all this code talk. So for the acronyms, you probably know beginning, middle, and end of the year, but the remaining acronyms are all measures of Dibels Next. You will not do all Dibels measures in every grade level. As a matter of fact, for 5th grade, the only two, for 3rd grade, I'm sorry, the only two that you will use is Dorf and Days. So those are the ones that we'll focus on this afternoon. It actually goes from 3rd to 6th, and you see this is what we're doing beginning, middle, and end of the year. The next 2 slides show you the alignment with Common Core. I want to reinforce that this isn't something additional. It's not another thing to add to your plate. It aligns perfectly with Common Core. It's what you're already doing. So that reassurance that it is what it is that you're supposed to be doing. These are the paper pencil materials. However, all of your measures were conducted on Vport. We will go into Vport shortly so that you can see what it looks like. But those are the paper pencil versions of the materials. So we will jump all the way to Dibels Oral Reading Fluency, which is DORF. And DORF has 2 components. It has the fluency, which is the running record component, and the retell. Both of them are quite a bit different than what you're probably used to if you've done a running record before. And I'm going to show you a very short 4-minute video of the DORF portion of it. Please note that you don't have all those codes that you normally have when you do a running record. You know, you have your reversals and your repeats and all the different millions of codes. The only codes that you need for this particular one is a slash if they don't say it correctly, and then a self-correct if they self-correct it. So it's basically the easiest running record that you'll ever do. The retell is not comprehension questions, it's them retelling what they've read in the story. That's all it consists of. But I'm going to show you a 4-minute video just so that you can hear it from Vport or from Voyager what it actually is. The sound hopefully will be loud enough. Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry.
go to control, the little Microsoft thing in P, and then do, you have to hold
Oh,
on.
I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna disconnect it, I'm gonna pull this up. Thank you very much.
Two parts, Dibels oral reading fluency and Dibels oral reading fluency retell.
Can you guys hear?
In the Dibels oral reading fluency assessment, you ask the student to read a story for 1 minute, and you mark the words that the student skips or misses. In the retell portion, you ask the student to tell you as much as he or she can from the story, and you record the number of words the student uses that are related to the passage. This measure is also 1 minute. What follows are directions to help you with the online scoring of these assessments. As the student reads, mark any word that is skipped or read incorrectly by clicking the word. If the student then says the word correctly within 3 seconds, click the word a second time. The word will be highlighted in pink and marked with the letters SC or self-correct. If you mark a word accidentally, you can remove the mark by clicking it a third time. If the student skips an entire line while reading, click the X at the beginning of that line. You will see a red line through the text, and the omitted words will be counted as errors. If you click the X again, the line will be removed, and you can score the line normally. This is a 1 minute measure. When 5 seconds remain, the background behind the timer will turn yellow to warn you that the test is ending. At the end of 1 minute, mark the last word read by the student by holding down the Shift key and clicking the word. The word will be highlighted in blue. If you click the wrong word, Shift-click the word again to remove the blue highlight. If the last word read was also read incorrectly, first click the word to mark it incorrect. Then, Shift-click the word to mark it as the last word read. The word will remain red, and you will see a blue line added to it. At any point during the assessment, you can click the Restart button. This will start the assessment over again, without saving the student's score. However, when time lapses, you may not restart. You may also click the Stop button. This will stop the assessment and the student's score will be saved. You can pause the assessment by clicking the Pause button. Restart and Stop should only be used in extreme and atypical situations and not as a common practice. If the student does not read any words correctly in the first row of the passage, the test will be discontinued after the first passage and a score of 0 will be recorded. You will not administer passages 2 and 3. Likewise, if a student reads fewer than 10 words correctly, you should not administer retell, nor should you administer passages 2 and 3. If the student reads fewer than 40 words correctly on a passage, please use your professional judgment whether to administer retell fluency for that passage.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right
If the
here.
student reads 40 or more words correctly on the passage, you will
So to reiterate what was just said, when you do a Dibels oral reading fluency, they're reading 3 passages at 1 minute apiece, and they're doing a retell for 3. Unless, for that first passage, if they cannot read more than 10 words correctly, there's no reason to go to a second and third passage, there's no reason to do a retell. We just stop the assessment at that point. If they read fewer than 40 words correctly, then professional judgment as to whether or not you would do the retell. However, even if they read 20 words correctly, they should be able to tell you something about what it is that they read. And there are times when they only read out loud a certain amount of words correctly, but they can still tell you about it. They're just not pronouncing it properly. So professional judgment is used there, but you still continue on to the next 2 passages if they did 40 or under. You guys following me? You got